Perfect. Can you guys hear me in the back or no? All right, good. So, some familiar faces, some new faces. For the new faces, Dr. Thomas here. Nice to meet and see everyone again. Thank you for meeting outside. It's a pleasant day. Not too hot, not too cold. I want to introduce our newest addition here. I'm going to let her introduce herself and maybe give a quick background, and then we will launch into maybe, I would say, just a short, probably 15-minute, 20-minute conversation about COVID, and hopefully we can answer your questions and concerns, because I know there is and are a lot of questions out there, both on the virus itself as well as the vaccine. And I do want to touch base on the flu vaccine as well as the RSV vaccine as well. So without hesitation.
Hello everyone, my name is Dana Spiro. I'm a PA, which stands for Physician Assistant. So I just joined Senior Doc. I'll be working closely with Dr. Thomas, and I'll be here at the Carlotta regularly. I'm originally from Philadelphia. That's where I trained at Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. That was a long time ago. I graduated 20 years ago. I've been working in primary care for the most part. My first 13 years were working in primary care, but I've always seen patients in assisted living facilities and skilled nursing facilities, so I'm very familiar with, this environment. So I'm accustomed to seeing patients in their homes as well. So I'm very excited to see you guys. I'm happy to be here today. And if you have any questions or concerns, I'm here. So, what was her name? My first name is Dana. You can call me Dana, D-A-N-A.
Dana.
And she lives in the Palm Springs area, so she's local, which is great. So, without further ado, casual conversation. You guys know these talks are casual about COVID. I will start with a brief introduction about COVID, and then we will kind of hopefully I'll answer all your questions. All right. So, COVID-19. I guess I'll start with a question. Do you know why we have the 19 at the end of COVID? Why
That was the year.
Thank you very much. All right, brownie points, gold star. All right, that's just a.
We always get them anyway.
So that's COVID-19 means that COVID virus discovered in 2019. Okay, all right. So if you guys are curious about what that 19 means, all right. So in terms of the history of COVID, all right, I just want to say that the virus today is much different than the original virus. Okay. We have seen a reduction in all-cause mortality, meaning the risk of dying from the vaccine drop. I'm sorry, not the vaccine. Sorry, take that back. All right, that was a slip. All right. We've seen a risk of dying from the virus itself probably drop by 50% each year.
50 or 15?
50.
Okay.
Okay. This is not the same deadly virus than what it was in 2019. Okay. And let me tell you, I worked at the front lines of COVID for about a year and a half. I actually helped run a COVID specific hospital for a good 8 months, okay? So that was an extremely difficult time in my career, to be honest. I saw quite a number of people and families torn apart by the virus itself, okay? When that virus first came out, I would have to say that I was 100% for the vaccine at that time. Okay, I want to preference that. Okay, and then we'll talk about the vaccine here in a second. Okay? We've gone through about 4 or 5 different main variants of the virus since it came out. Okay, but remember, COVID, it is off your common cold virus. Okay, all right. It has mutated down where, and I've probably treated maybe 50 COVID patients in the last month, okay, where most of the symptoms are mild, okay? I just want to give some reassurance to that fact, okay? We're seeing an average about 15,000 hospitalizations per week across the United States, okay? That's dramatically lower than the hundreds of thousands of hospitalizations that we saw at the original in 2019. okay? Right now, we're seeing kind of South Dakota and Tennessee right now, if you look at the maps. And this data is about 2 weeks old. Those are where some of the hot spots are right now, okay? In Southern California, I would say that we had a wave of a high frequency of COVID cases. I would say probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, all right? I think we're exiting out of this phase. Now, fully expect seasons changing, Thanksgiving's coming up, Christmas is coming up. We're going to see a repeat flare of this virus. This is the new norm, all right? Okay? So, what can we do about it if we have an outbreak? Okay? The biggest thing in terms of what we can do about it is wear a N95 mask. Okay? Specifically N95 mask. Do you guys know what an N95 mask is? I'm assuming most people know.
It's a respirator.
Okay, all right, full seal around your face, not the paper mask where you have big gaps, okay? And wash your hands frequently. That's my #1 advice. All right? The second thing.
Anywhere and everywhere?
Wherever you're going to have exposure to groups of people, okay? All right? And I say that in terms of a vague sense because if you're going to walk from here to the other side, you're outdoors and people are passing you, you're not going to get the virus, okay? If you're sitting in your apartment and someone is there with the virus, there's a high chance you will get the virus, okay? And how easily you can get the virus is also dependent on the variant, okay? Some, depending on kind of what year time frame, yes, someone sneezes, it aerosols the virus, highly contagious, okay? Other variants, no, you really needed exposure to this virus, meaning sitting down next to someone for an extended period of time, okay, to get the virus. What can you do about it to protect your health, okay? Masks we already talked about, okay? Vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc, okay? All right? Okay. Taking these supplements have been shown to improve your immune system. All right? Now, we had all this hope for vitamin D at the beginning of COVID. There were some studies that showed that it dramatically reduced the risk or improved your recovery process. Some follow-up studies didn't necessarily show that, but look, if you can have a glass of orange juice or stand out in the sun for 15 minutes, it's going to make you feel good anyway, so go ahead and do it, okay? All right? And it may help either prevent or reduce your symptoms from COVID. Okay? Symptoms from COVID itself. The big issue that we ran into COVID, and the reason why it was hurting and killing people, is it because it caused inappropriate immune response in patients, meaning that your body went on overdrive and created inflammation everywhere, especially your lungs. Okay? Your lungs are one of these organs that if it fills up with inflammation, I can put you on life support, I can put you on a breathing machine, and I can shove all the oxygen down into your lungs. But if your lungs are inflamed, guess what? They're not going to be able to absorb that oxygen, and that's how people die. Okay? All right? Am I seeing rates of that now? Yes, but extremely at reduced rates from a couple years ago. We do have a medication called Paxlovid, okay? Are you guys familiar with that term Paxlovid? Mm-hmm. Maybe some of you have been on it in the past, okay? Paxlovid is an antiviral medication, okay? It comes in a fancy pill pack, all right? And it used to be free. The government used to pay for it. Not anymore.
They
okay?
still do.
Well, it's going to change. They just put out that they're going to charge $1,500 per packet now.
I just picked up some for some residents 2 days ago.
If they
Free.
have good insurance, but that's changing.
Oh.
Okay, so
Let's
the
go on and buy them.
welcome to capitalism, guys. Okay, all right, okay, all right. So just be prepared that your insurance might not pick up the whole cost. I've seen co-pays upwards of $500 for the packet. Okay, so we'll see.
But is it working?
Yes, okay, the most important question, is it working, is it worth it? The biggest thing with Paxlovid is that it interacts with a massive amount of your medications, okay? All right? To the point where these are life-threatening interactions. People on blood thinning medication like Xarelto or Eliquis, okay? Some of you are on this, okay? All right, okay? All right, you can't take Paxlovid, okay? Or we have to stop your anticoagulation. People who are on antidepressants or antipsychotics, Seroquel, for example, all right? Or people who use it as a sleep aid. I don't know if anyone's on it here. It interacts with those medications, all right? So, as a physician, here's the reality, okay? I get a frantic family member, a son or daughter, calls me, Dr. Thomas, Miss Jones, my mom needs to be on Paxlovid. Well, how's she feeling? Well, she has a light cough. Is she short of breath? No. Does she have a fever? No. You don't need Paxlovid. They're going to get over it in a couple days anyway, and it's not worth the risk profile of being on the medication. Especially people with cardiac disease, AFib, SVT, prolonged QT intervals. I know these are fancy terms, but people whose electrical wiring of the heart doesn't work like it did when you guys were 20 years old, we got to be careful what meds you're on and giving you Paxlovid. All right? What does Paxlovid do? It reduces the viral load in your body, less viral load, less immune response, less symptoms. That's kind of the chain of events of Paxlovid, okay? So if a patient is sick, usually I give the vitamin supplements that I talked about before, okay? C, D, and zinc, okay? Plus or minus Paxlovid. Okay? Drink your mother's recipe for chicken broth and you'll be okay. Right? This is not the virus back what it was a couple of years ago, or more than a couple of years ago now. More people, and this data is a little bit old now, are having more complications with RSV. Okay? That's a respiratory virus. Okay? I know some of you were offered the vaccine here recently, than COVID itself. Okay? All right? So that means that the mortality rates, like I said earlier, of COVID have gone down dramatically. Okay, now the question everyone wants to know, hey doctor, should I get the vaccine or should I not get the vaccine?
Why didn't you talk about it 3 weeks ago? I got
and I could have, but you know, so the thing is that according to medical guidelines, I do have to state that you are at a vulnerable part of the patient population, the geriatric age, that I should be recommending the vaccine. Okay, all right. But this is also a personal decision on your part as well. All right. I'm going to throw some numbers out there. In the first couple weeks of getting the vaccine, all right, about 80 to 85% of patients are protected from the virus itself, meaning you're not going to get sick if you get COVID, okay? If you stretch that out to, I think the cutoff was 115 days to 140 days, all right? So 3.5, 4 months. The numbers drop dramatically in terms of protection, okay? Below 60%. If I have a young adolescent or 25-year-old or 30 or 40-year-old that asks me, hey doc, should I get the vaccine? My answer is going to be no, okay? In terms of, you look at the rates of myocarditis, meaning heart inflammation, or muscle issues, or we don't know the long-term effects of repeated boosters. We don't, guys, okay? All right? All right? I would say in that patient population, the answer is no. You do not need to get the vaccine. We have the holidays coming up, okay? All right? People are going to travel. People are going to see a lot of family members. Maybe hop on an airplane, car ride, you name it. Okay? If you have a weakened immune system and you've done well with the vaccines prior, yes, it does make sense to get the vaccine. Okay? Because that time window, it gives you several months at least of coverage where you're not necessarily going to get sick from the virus itself. But understand that the virus now is not as, quote, deadly as it was 3 or 4 years ago. So there does become a little bit of personal decision making in terms of if you're going to get the vaccine or not. Okay? Have I seen patients have cardiac issues after receiving the vaccine? The answer is yes. Okay? Have I seen several Guillain-Barré, meaning basically where your immune system attacks your own nervous system? Have I seen cases of that? Yes. Okay? Have I seen 2 cases of people get blood clots after getting the vaccine? Yes. Okay? All right? But have I seen thousands of patients being saved from the virus? The answer is yes as well. Okay? All right? So, are these rates of negative side effects to the vaccine, are they extremely low? Yes. You're talking decimal points of percentage points. Okay? All right? Do you guys understand what an mRNA vaccine is? Do you guys understand that concept?
No.
Okay. All right. Just getting participation from the audience. All right. So, basically what happens is that there's really nothing in the vaccine except RNA code, okay? Set of molecules, all right? We inject it into the human body. Our proteins are certain mechanisms in our body code that mRNA, all right, to produce proteins that mimic COVID, and then our immune system sees that protein and builds up an antibody or immune response to those proteins, okay? This virus does not incorporate into your genetic code. That was a misconception earlier. Okay, it does not come. It's not part of you. All right, you just have a protein response that basically triggers an immune response, and then you're quote vaccinated from the virus for a set period of time. Please understand that the virus, like your common cold, mutates all the time. All right? Well, I think we're on the 5th or 6th main variant, okay? All right? And in that main variant, the Omicron variant, there is a lot of subtypes. Like the new subtype is like EV.1, right? And then you guys watch the news, they come up with all these fancy names for it. I can't remember what the fancy name for it is, but this is another subtype. So yes, we're going to have to keep on adapting the vaccine every time there's a major shift in the virus. And this virus is here to stay, okay? It's not going anywhere. It's like the seasonal flu, all right? It's part of modern society today, okay? All right? I don't think it's ever going to phase out. Maybe like this, even, for example, the Spanish flu back in the early 1900s. You know, we still see variations of it today, okay? So this is going to same thing as the COVID or coronavirus.
I've got a question. How does that time window that you talked about earlier about this vaccine compare to the flu vaccine that they recommend annually?
So
We get double the flu.
yes, yeah. So there's 3 main vaccines that are going around right now: the flu, COVID, RSV. Okay. Rates of RSV. It was a big issue when everyone was in isolation, then everyone started coming out of isolation, and then all of a sudden their immune systems were weakened because they hadn't been exposed, and all of a sudden everyone was dying from RSV, okay? That's not a huge issue nowadays, okay? All right? Flu. There's more of a seasonal component to the flu than COVID, okay? COVID seems to be more linked to migration of people, okay? All right? For example, we had an outbreak in summertime. Okay, schools got let out, then boom, we saw a spike. Okay, so the flu vaccine also has been shown to last a little bit longer than the COVID vaccine, and then again, there's a seasonal component to it. So that's why the flu vaccine is usually given now, okay, or a couple months ago, I should say, because then it covers you for the length of flu season. That's why we have a season for the flu.
So the COVID is actually shorter. That time window of effectiveness is actually shorter than the flu vaccine.
That's what the studies are showing.
Okay.
Does the pneumonia vaccine fall within that category?
So, are you talking about the flu or the pneumococcal vaccine?
Pneumococcal.
So pneumococcal can last years, okay? All right, so totally different concept in terms of vaccinations. So the pneumococcal vaccine, okay? Pneumococcus, another type of pulmonary infection that patients can get because they're a vulnerable part of the patient population, okay? That's something that lasts years in terms of coverage, okay? Technically, it's every 5 years. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head that a patient may or may not need a booster depending on their overall health status. One thing I strongly recommend, I know it's a side note, shingles vaccine.
Oh, shit.
Okay, all right? That's what I strongly recommend. Okay?
Right.
The amount of side effect profile to that is extremely low, but I don't know if any of you have had shingles. It can be very, very debilitating and can cause chronic pain. Okay?
But what are the side effects of the shingles vaccination?
So,
I need to get it, but I don't want to get it.
do I know the exact percentages? No, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's, again, it's an immune response. Okay? So we're trying to elicit an immune response in patients, and all side effect profiles all similar for all vaccines. It's just they vary in terms of percentage, risk, and benefit. Me personally, get the shingles vaccine.
Oh, God.
I don't remember you guys' name. Pink shirt.
If we've had shingles, should we get the vaccine anyway?
Depends on how long ago you had shingles.
A while.
Okay. I don't know the exact. I don't know the exact. Like once someone's had it, do they actually really need the shingles vaccine? I'd have to look that up for you. I don't know the time course, to be honest. Like whether it's 5 years, 10 years, I don't know off the top of my head. Sorry.
One quick question also. What's RSV?
So RSV basically is a pulmonary infection of a virus. Okay, usually kids get it. Okay, but it's a respiratory symptom that causes a lot of inflammation in your lungs. It is a kind of like when kids have this kind of certain cough.
Croup.
Similar to croup, but different. Okay, it affects more kids, but also as you get older, your immune system weakens, so that you can have a recurrence of that infection.
Thank you.
I was going to ask the same question. If you've had it, do you need to get a?
So it's the same thing. So when you have an active infection, such as shingles, there is a point where your immune system drops down again. Okay, so whether you need a shingles booster, I just don't know off the top of my head, to be honest.
They're giving out 2 shingles shots.
Yeah.
I've had shingles twice. I had the vaccine and I had another shingle, very mild.
Okay. So, important concept for people to understand about vaccines, okay? Let's talk about the flu vaccine. It is not designed, or these are not designed to prevent you from getting these infections, okay? It's preventing you from getting sick off these infections, okay? So people get mad at me all the time. Hey doc, you said I wouldn't get the flu if I had the flu vaccine. No, that's what you heard. I didn't tell you that, okay? All right, okay, all right. It's designed to reduce what we refer to as mortality and morbidity, meaning feeling sick, okay, off these infections. And there's parallels to this as COVID as well.
Why are we still mandatory isolation for COVID and not for flu,
Okay, so
if they're similar?
yes, so technically, and again, isolation requirements for COVID, they change all the time, okay? My last understanding, and again, it goes also state guidelines in terms of if you live in like facilities or not, or communities. My last thing that I heard was that mask only to prevent the spread of COVID, okay?
Not here.
I know there's different state guidelines and that some make sense and some don't make sense.
So it's political.
Maybe, sir. I knew a political question was going to come up. We made it almost 25 minutes.
Thank Thank you.
So we're at 25 minutes right now. I'm more than happy to entertain any more personal questions if you guys want to discuss. But if not, we'll break here. And hopefully that kind of, or yes, go for it.
What happened to the original deadly virus?
So it mutated. It's the same virus but mutated.
It doesn't exist at all anymore, anywhere in the world?
It died out. That variant died out. Okay? All right? Because the virus, remember, COVID viruses, even the flu virus. Remember, we have bad flu seasons and we have not so bad flu seasons. Okay? All right? The viruses are constantly mutating every single day. All right? And then as soon as a dominant form takes hold, then that starts infecting the majority of the population. So if you look at the growth or timeline of these viruses, it's like an ancestry tree, okay? Where it starts with one or two people, and then basically it just branches off into different areas. There's not clean breaks, okay? So it's a mutation evolution.
Have our shot records been recorded somewhere?
Yes, they should. Rebecca should have them in her office.
Even if I got it at a private place, at the CVS?
Well,
I brought the receipts, so.
Again, that's more about Carlotta or Rebecca question. I don't know off the top of my head.
How long does Paxlovid last, if you've had it?
So it's a temporary,
It's just temporary?
yes. Yeah, it's not protective. It's just hey, you have COVID, let's reduce the viral load to minimize immune response. So yes, short-lived. Now, one important thing about, to follow up on that, is that there is called rebound illness after you take Paxlovid. Okay, do you guys know what I'm talking about or no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What happens is that Paxlovid will reduce your symptoms initially for the first couple days, and then we've seen a lot of patients where they took Paxlovid, they were good for about a week, and then a week later, their symptoms came back. Okay, rebound illness, very common of taking Paxlovid.
I've known people who took it for 2 days. The taste was so awful. It left aluminum taste in their mouth. So then they stopped taking it, and then they got back, I think,
Okay.
that week. Also, if you do take it, buy yourself some lozenges. They can taste like cherry or something. It reduces the bad taste if you decide to.
I heard there was a second treatment for COVID. It starts with an L. I can't pronounce it.
So there's a lot of secondary immune modulators. We're talking about modulating your immune system. There's a lot more in the past where we would give infusions to calm down your immune system, okay? And it all depends on the variant of COVID. Some of these we don't use anymore because they don't work anymore. One more question and then I gotta run and see patients.
Yeah,
Let me ask, he hasn't asked a question yet. Yes, sir.
How do we find out about signing up for senior docs?
Sure. There's this gentleman in the back in a floral shirt. His name's Patrick.
Right here.
He can help you with that process.
What was the question? I didn't hear it.
how do you sign?
He wants to find out more information about senior doc and the services that we offer. All right, guys. I'll let you guys go about your day. I'll be around if you have any other questions.
Quick question.
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yes, I will. Yes, I need to see those results back. Yeah, they were done about October, end of October.
Good job, Cheryl. And you jumped in there, changing the venue. That little arrow in there, how do you do that?
Sure. What room number again? 136.
It's nice.
Yes.